Hi guys, and welcome back to another lesson in Algebra 1. This is Unit 5, Lesson 8, and it is about writing equations for perpendicular lines. So how you know you are successful today is, one, I can write an equation of a perpendicular line to a given line and passes through a given point, or you can write a perpendicular line or equation of a perpendicular line to the x-axis and y-axis through a given point. This is going to be almost identical to how we did parallel lines, with the exception of perpendicular lines have a different slope. So let's go ahead and write our notes. So perpendicular lines have inverse, reciprocal, slopes. So remember, what this means is that we're going to flip the fraction and make an opposite sign. So for example, if we had 3 was our slope, the inverse of that is going to be negative 1/3. If we had our slope was 2/5, the inverse of that is going to be negative 5/2. Okay. All right, so we are going to then take that information and we're going to plug the given point and the slope into the point slope equation. So just a reminder, when we get down here and we're talking about x and y axis, let's just go ahead and label our x just to remind ourselves. So our x, our x axis is going horizontal. So if it is perpendicular to the x axis, let's think about what that looks like. So if we go draw a line that's perpendicular to that, it's going to be something like this, right? It's going up and down. Um, and so, that's got a 90-degree angle to each other. So the slope of that up and down one is going to be undefined. Now, I had attempted to put this on top of, there we go. That might be a little bit better, maybe. There we go. So let's go say what the equation is. So the equation is going to be where it crosses that x-axis. So in this case, it's over here at +3. So this is going to be x equals 3. And so when you write an equation for this, you're going to write x equals something. Okay. This is as compared to if it's perpendicular. If it's perpendicular to the y-axis, okay, let's make a perpendicular line to the y-axis. Let's go over here and, well, first let's make sure that we know and understand that the y-axis is the vertical line, right? So for it to be perpendicular to that line, it's going to have to do something like this. It's going to have to go, through that y-axis. So when we write our equation, it's going to be this. So let's see. So the slope in this case, my slope equals 0, right? So it's a flat line. And the equation is going to be y equals something. So when I drew this, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, in this case, it was y equals 5. Okay. So that's how you do that. Now here again, because I'm recording this ahead of time, if you need to pause it to catch up, or if I'm going too fast, don't worry, just pause it. I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to erase this. And let's go down to the bottom part. All right. So when we read this, it says, write the equation of the line that goes through this and is perpendicular to the y-axis. To do this, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my my coordinate plane so that I can make sure that I have a picture in my head. Pictures are really good, okay? So let's make sure we have a picture in our head of what's going on. So here is, my X and Y that I've drawn out. I can even go through and I can label that, and I can label this my Y and this my X. And so I can now go and draw something that is perpendicular to the Y axis. So, maybe it's something like this. Okay. It's perpendicular to the Y axis. It's going through the Y axis. And so let's see. We're right here. We're perpendicular to the y-axis. So in this case, maybe this is, let's just say that's 3 down. Oh, wait, but hang on. It wants us to do it through -7. I got a little ahead of myself just kind of drawing a picture. So we're going to have to pretend this is 7 lines down. So in this case, this is y equals -7. Okay. There we go. I got so busy thinking about my picture that I almost forgot that we actually had to put it through an actual point instead of just draw a picture. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this next one. It says, write the equation of a line that is perpendicular. Okay. Somehow or another, this is really thin. Let's see, perpendicular to y equals -4, and it goes through this 6, -1. All right, so I'm going to draw my coordinate plane so that I can at least have a picture in my head of, what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this, and I'm going to draw this. And I can label this. This is my Y, and this is my X. It's wanting it to be perpendicular to what X is -4. So my X is -4, 3, 4, it's down here. And so if we're going to do perpendicular to that, it's going to be right like this. Okay. And oh my goodness. And so this is my Y is -4. And then we want to go through this point here. Let me get a different color here. So it's wanting to go through 6, -1. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just kind of draw this out so that I have a picture here. So my 6, -1 is here. Okay. The line that is going perpendicular to this and going through that point is, going to be right here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and draw it. There we go. And so it is going through this x-axis right here. And what is that number of the x-axis? It's this. Okay. So when it's perpendicular to y is -4, our equation is x equals 6. Okay. So these ones here, like this problem and this problem, can be kind of tricky in your head. You got to make sure that you've got a picture clear of what you're doing so that, you can make sure that you know what the equation is going to be. These ones down here, to me, are a little bit easier because they are a straightforward calculation. All right, so let's look at this one. It says, write the equation of a line and slope-intercept. So we know that we're going to have to convert to slope-intercept that is perpendicular to this guy. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight that because this is my slope here. Okay. And then it's going through, this point. Okay. So we know that my slope in this given problem was -2. But because it's perpendicular, we cannot use -2. The perpendicular line, and this is the symbol for perpendicular, is going to be the negative reciprocal. So it's going to be 1/2. And notice it's a positive 1/2 because it was negative to begin with. So when we flipped it and made it a fraction, it also became positive when we did the negative reciprocal. Okay, so, and it's going to go through this point. So let's go ahead and write our equation. So I'm going to do my point slope, and I always write my formula because to me, it helps get your brain kind of organized and ready of what's going on. So y minus y2 equals mx minus x1. My y minus my y2 is this -3. So minus a -3 is really positive, right? Plus. My slope is this 1/2. And then it's x minus 4. Okay. Now they wanted it to be in slope-intercept. So, I mean, this is an equation here, but it is only point slope equation. It is not um, the slope-intercept. So we've got y plus 3, and then I'm going to distribute. So we got 1/2 x, and then 1/2 times -4 is going to be -2. Okay, then I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. And I get y equals 1/2 x minus 5. So my equation in slope-intercept form, I can write it up here a little bit bigger and less smashed together. There we go. Y equals 1/2 x minus 5. All right, let's look at the next one. So this one, it says, write the equation in slope-intercept. Oh, I don't want to do that in blue. Let's see, I wanted to do that in yellow. Okay, in slope-intercept that is perpendicular to this standard equation, and then it goes through this point. This is a standard equation that we're going to have to convert. We cannot do anything with this right now because we need to find slope, right? So that's our first, whoa, that's a little too thick there. Okay, so our first task here is that we've got to find slope. And, you find it looking at this equation, but it's not in the right form. 2x plus 3y, this is standard form. We cannot tell our slope easily from this right here. We've got to convert it to slope-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this equation to slope-intercept. I'm going to move my 2x over. We get 3x equals -2, or 3y equals -2x plus 12. And then I'm going to divide by 3 and divide by 3, divide by 3. All my terms have to be divided by, right? And I get y equals -2/3 x plus 4. But remember, this is not the end of my problem. This is really still the beginning. We found that the slope here in this time is -2/3. Okay, that's what we found out. And so for us to build our next equation, our slope needs to be the negative reciprocal. So if it's -2/3, our perpendicular slope is going to be +3/2. Okay, so we flipped that fraction and then we did the opposite sign. So we're going to use, this 3/2 in our equation. So let's go ahead and write our point slope equation. So we got y minus y1. So let's see, actually this is my second step. We got point slope. I'll go ahead and label this. Okay, so y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. And so my y minus my y1, that's a -2. So minus a negative is really a positive. M is this 3/2. X minus 2. And we can go ahead and start simplifying this. So we've got y minus 2, and we're going to do this, distribute this out. So we got 3/2 x, and then 3/2 times -2. Let's look at this fraction wise. Okay, so we got 3/2 times -2. Remember, that's over 1. So this is going to equal -3. Okay, -3. All right, so let's see. We're going to subtract 2. That cancels. And so our equation is going to be y equals 3 halves x minus 5. That is going to be our perpendicular equation. All right, if I am going too fast, just pause it. I am going to go ahead and clear this off so I can go down to the bottom two examples. I'm not meaning to leave you. It's just what it is. So I'm going to clear this and let's go down. All right, so we've got our two graphs here. So we can do all of the same things looking at our graphs. So let's see, let's go ahead and read this and kind of highlight what we're looking for. It says, write the equation of the line that is perpendicular to the line shown on the grid that goes through -2, 5, and then graph the perpendicular line. So they're going to want us to graph this, okay? So for us to even figure out what the very beginning is we've got to first find our slope. That's the very first task here. So the slope of this line, I can see it crosses here. Oops, that's a little bit bigger. Let's see, it crosses there and then it crosses here. So it looks like it goes up 2 and over 1, 2, 3. So my original slope is 2/3. Okay. But my perpendicular slope is going to be -3/2. So that's going to be the one that we use. Okay, so now we're going to write my point slope equation. And that's going to be y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. My y minus my y1 is going to be this 5. My m is this slope. We're not going to forget that negative. It's really easy to just kind of throw negatives away. X minus -2. And so since it's minus a negative, we know that's really positive. There we go. And so we do have to put it into slope-intercept to graph easily. So I'm going to go ahead and just, start cleaning this up some. So y minus 5, I'm going to distribute this. So this is -3 halves x. -3 halves times 2 is going to give me -3. I'm going to move my 5 over. Okay. So that's going to give me y equals -3 halves x. -3 plus 5 gives me +2. So we could write this over again, maybe here where we've got a little bit more room. -3 halves x +2. That is my equation. Now we can also go graph. I'm going to go ahead and erase some of this here where I was counting my slope. So let's see, we've got +2. And then we've got to do the, notice this is negative. So my slope is going off in this direction. Okay, it's going in the negative side. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 2. Down 1, 2, 3 over 2. Okay. And so now we can draw it. Another way we could have done this is we could have simply looked at, this point here. Let me see. We could have just looked at this -2, 5. Let's see. Let me get a different color. I could have looked at this -2, 5. And I could have come over here -1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look, it would have put me up here at the same point. And then I could have built the slope off of that, and it would have just taken me all in the same exact points and given me the same exact line. So there's, two ways that we could have graphed that. All right, let's go ahead and look at this one. It says, write the equation of the line that is perpendicular to the line shown on the grid, and it goes through 6, 2. And then we're going to graph the perpendicular line. And write the equation. All right, let's get our slope here real fast. I can see it's here. Oh, I do want to make a little note to myself. It's going off to the negative side, so I'm not going to forget to put my negative there. It goes up 2 over 1. So it's going up 2 over 1. So the slope is -2. Well, we need a perpendicular slope. So we cannot have -2. It's going to have to be +1/2. This is the slope we will use. So let's go ahead and write our point slope equation. And so we've got y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Y minus -2, which is really minus a -2, is going to be +2. My slope is this guy here, this 1/2. X minus 6. Okay. We can simplify this down a little bit. So we got y plus 2 equals 1/2 x. 1/2 times -6 is going to give me -3. -2, -2. Y equals 1/2 x minus 5. That's going to be my perpendicular equation. Now let's go draw that. So let's see, I'm going to do -5. It's down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, -5. And then I'm going to go up 1 over 2. There's my intersection, up 1 over 2. Oops, I drew on the wrong line. It's easy. It's easy to get off on the wrong line. There we go. Actually, I'll tell you why I got off on the wrong line. I have a cat. His name's Leo. Leo really, really loves to come try to interfere with me while I'm trying to work on the computer. So when I get sidetracked and kind of make mistakes, a lot of times it's because I'm trying to fend off Leo from wanting to come lay on the keyboard and on my drawing tablet and other things. Alrighty, so this is our perpendicular line. Now we could have drawn it another way, just to point out real fast that we could do that. We could take this 6-2 point. Let me go ahead and grab a different color. I say I'm going to pick a different color. Oh, now it doesn't even want me to pick a different color. I can pick a different color. Let's say we go to +6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we go down here. Okay, so we could have built our graph off of this point here, and we would have had just all the same dots. Okay. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.